Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable. My name is Paul Dingham. I'm glad you have you along. As you know from this program, from time to time, we always take a little longer time to talk to people about very important things that are happening in the community. That's no different today. We're once again joined by the Chairman of the Board of the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners, Mr. Jeffrey Bohm. Nice to meet you. And you brought along the Superintendent. Supervisor. I'll make you Superintendent too. Supervisor of East China Township, Larry Simmons. Gentlemen, welcome to the Roundtable set. You had a pretty important announcement and meeting this morning at the Township offices, I believe. Tell me all about it.
Well, we got some really good news.
I thought it was fantastic news.
Yeah. Detroit Edison has chosen St. Clair County to rebuild one of its gas-fired plants.
Marvelous.
Which you know, when we talk about the significance of a power plant in this community and the tax base and just the jobs and everything else, I say it's once in a lifetime stuff. But this actually happened twice in my lifetime, because when I was 4 years old and we moved up here, they were building Bechtel at the time. Bell River.
Bell River, yeah.
And Larry's a long time, what, 35 years or so?
Yeah, 34 years at Detroit Edison.
Detroit Edison, yeah.
Oh, you've worked for Detroit Edison?
Yeah, I'm a retiree, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Larry was, through this process, you know, Larry and his knowledge and, you know, just was invaluable to helping out the process and stuff. Because there's a lot of electrical questions, a lot of things come up along the line, and we look cross-eyed, and Larry says, well, this is how this works. And,
well, let's step back. There'd been news in the press over the last 6-8 months that they were going to close the St. Clair power plant. And they had a date for that of 20-something.
2023.
And then subsequent to that, a few months, the building caught on fire. And we had a spectacular fire. And they put that out, and they were sort of getting to the point where they were going to restart one of the turbines. And then,
they have restarted number one turbine, is what I've been told.
And so that sort of brings us up to date. But now with this announcement, they're not going to be closing the St. Clair power plant?
No, they are going to
They are going to be closing.
Going to be closing St. Clair power plant in 2023. It kind of told us they'd be phasing it down. If a unit was to get a major, like the fire, we thought we didn't know, but today they said they were going to bring it back, the whole plant. They're going to try to bring the whole plant back.
Okay.
Like I say, they have one unit on now, and they're working on the other units to bring them up. Maybe by Thanksgiving, I think he said they'd be up. So that was pretty devastating for East China to lose that plant.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's a lot of our tax base.
Correct.
But moving forward with the announcement today, I mean, it's great news for East China, St. Clair County, the school district. I mean, it's all winners. I mean, if we can. So
if they're going to be closing it in 2023, what are they replacing it with? What are they doing?
They told us today they're going to build a 1,000 megawatt gas-fired unit. It'll be built adjacent to the Bell River power plant in China Township.
Okay.
With that, St. Clair produces, I believe you said, 1,200 megawatts. So they're going to replace 1,000 of it right there with that one machine.
Wow. What does Bell River produce?
I think that's 2 500s. I think it produces 1,000.
So they're going to have a lot of capacity still available in St. Clair County.
Well,
to
St. Clair power plant is going to go down.
Right.
I mean, it's going to go offline. As to what they're going to do with it when it goes offline in 2023, that's still going to be in discussion, and they've shared it with the community that they would like, you know, our input on what goes on there too. So
good.
When you talk about capacity, I just understand that this goes into the grid, so it's not just for St. Clair County. I mean, they can push this power all over. So there's really 3 different plants, coal-fired plants, which was St. Clair, Trenton, and River Rouge.
Right.
They made that announcement that all 3 of those were going to be coming offline. Each one has their own, you know, capacity. Currently, they're just have recently announced that obviously they're going to rebuild in St. Clair. That's 1,000 megawatt unit. I thought one of the interesting things that we had talked today, and the conversation was much more than just the rebuild, but how much at its peak time, I think Edison had roughly 13,000 megawatts of power. Yeah. And when the economy hit and tanked, They went down to somewhere to
10,000.
Yeah, even
Well, they went
even
down to 7, but they're back up to 10.
10.
now. Yeah.
So you have capacity surplus, less. I mean, so that part of the discussion was very interesting. So, as they're, like I said, they're rebuilding this today from the gas. You know, they're getting away from coal, and they're moving a lot more to these gas-fired plants. There's a tremendous amount of infrastructure located in the area with the pipelines and everything, transmission lines and stuff, which made it very advantageous.
And they own the
For
property.
this rebuild, and they own
They
the
own
property,
the property.
yeah. So I mean, just a lot of stars really lined up.
So this will be a brand-new building
Brand new, yep.
from the ground up.
Ground up, yep.
Will it be the size of a Bell River, or that's to be determined?
No, I would think it'd be a lot smaller than, it's only gonna be one unit.
Yeah, much more efficient, but make it no mistake. I mean, the cost, we're talking in a range from, you know, in the press release today was from 1 billion to 1.5 billion, and it's probably closer to the 1.5 number. It's huge. I mean, that plant that's coming offline, the St.Clair power plant's roughly on the tax rolls for 400 million.
Okay. Oh,
So this, you know, of course, like anything, how much money, I think everybody's, I want to say seeing dollar signs, but I mean, when you were looking at the loss of the St. Clair power plant, that, for example, in the town, just in the county's portion of it was roughly under $1 million. And I know it's 40% of East China's
East
budget.
China's,
So you
yeah.
start talking about taking a 40% reduction in your budget. So this obviously replaces, you know, probably what is on the current tax rolls, and hopefully more to come. And, you know, as far as value.
you have mentioned before when we've had other interviews that when there's an investment in your area, your community of $100, 500, or in this case 1.2 billion, the residual effect of how many people that affects quadruples, right?
Oh boy, you know how many people are going to be working in this community for
To
probably a
build it.
2.5
Tell me.
to 3
Tell
year
me.
period. Well, they don't give you specific numbers. I have some friends that work down at the plant, but remember when Bechtel was built at
Oh,
the
they had
time?
hundreds and
Yeah,
hundreds of
yeah,
people.
every day, per day. These are really good paying jobs, those types of things. So I mean, all those ancillary, you know, services built, it just, you can't even quantify enough. And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of my buddies that work for a lot of the different you know, labor unions and stuff that they're going to be tripping over each other to get to be working in their
You gotta
backyards for.
understand, though, this is, they rolled this out today. This is the earliest stage
Yeah.
of what we're doing. We asked a lot of questions they don't have the answers
Yeah.
to yet.
Yeah.
I mean, they wanted to let it out that they're gonna build this plant in St. Clair County. As far as any prints or any, you know, other than the size of the plant, the actual blueprints of anything, they don't have anything like that. There's a lot of questions they don't know yet.
Will they be asking, a lot of times when companies come to town, they want a tax relief? Are they talking about that?
I haven't asked, like I say, this is too early, I think, to, you know, maybe a tax abatement.
Right, that kind of stuff.
I haven't approached this
When
with
you
that.
when you look at power plants now, total SEV in St. Clair County, Detroit Edison's roughly 11 to 12%, give or take, of our total SEV in the whole county.
So that'll go up.
One power plant of this size and this significance is, you can't even quantify. I mean, we ran some early numbers looking at it. You're talking 10% plus of your total SEV in your county. This is a massive investment in St.
Congratulations.
Clair County, and it's going to be here for. I don't plan on seeing another one in my lifetime.
No.
You never know, but.
How long has Edison been in St. Clair County?
Well, I think they built them.
1900s? Or-
They built
Marysville
Marysville. I think that was built, I worked at Marysville too. I think that was built in the 20s. So probably early 1900s. It was probably started in probably 1918 or something like that. And I think the
So
first
they've had
units went
quite a
up.
commitment for our community and our growth and our citizens. for
They have
years.
done a great job of communicating this whole time, and like I said, kudos to Larry, because Larry's, you know, longtime Edison. He's got a lot of his people down there, so he was able to, you know, spearhead a lot of the conversations as this thing, you know, progressed through time and kept us all in the loop on this thing, and you know, just very good corporate citizen, Detroit Edison. Great to have him. You hear some, you know, we recently went to another function down in River Rouge, and you've heard some places and in some other states where the power plants haven't been such good corporate citizens, you know, and you kind of hear some of the horror stories, and that's the furthest thing from the case that's been with DTE and, you know, partners.
So, what's the bad news?
Or we're losing St.Clair power plant.
Well, that's true. That's true.
If
But
we had the St.Clair and had the other one, we would really be.
Yeah.
really be good.
Yeah.
But there's probably a lot of retirements coming along. A lot of the people who are employed at the St. Clair power plant.
And we talked about that this morning too. They're going to do it through attrition. You know.
You had an intro. You went through it.
I went through it. I went through it at the Marysville plant when they cut that. I was working at Marysville when they shut that down, and I didn't lose my job. They gave me other jobs, and then I progressed back to St. Clair, or down to St. Clair. So I spent 20-some years there at St. Clair. But
So again, they're good corporate.
yeah, and they said when they rolled it out in June that they were shutting the St. Clair plant down. That was one of the first things they hit on was we're not laying anybody off. We'll find jobs for everybody. And he reassured us again this morning that that's what it would be. He didn't know how many jobs the new plant would create once it was done, other than it won't be as many as you have for a coal-fired plant. So it takes a lot more people to run a coal-fired.
Will there still be freighters coming in with coal?
Yes, Bell River is a coal-fired power plant, and the
There's
the
no
coal-
gas there at all.
Well, they probably use gas for ignition or something,
Okay.
but not to
Not the.
generally not to burn.
Okay.
But the boats will still be coming into the dock in St. Clair, and then the coal is transferred from the dock by conveyors over to the Bell River plant. And that dock has fed both plants for years, and well, it's still feeding St. Clair. But once St. Clair goes down, they'll still have to keep that connection in East China,
Great.
which Bell River Power Plant is in China Township,
Okay.
and the St. Clair plant is in East China Township.
Okay.
One of the things too, we just received, the Edison put up the $50,000 for a grant, and we received a federal economic development grant. So they're going to be doing some other studies and some other analysis, long-term kind of things that are going to unfold in the near future. Dan Casey's kind of spearheading that, and so some more potential reuse. It's just really looking at it. It's all part of long-term planning and everything else. Much better than than we having the discussion of the plants going away and nothing is coming back. And man, I can't tell you how excited I am.
Well,
about
it's
this whole deal.
it's the breath of fresh air that the county's needed for a long time, and with the downturn in 2007 or 8 and all the plastics plants disappearing and things like that, this certainly gives you a fresh outlook.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Especially having to serve the last 12 years and serving through, arguably the worst economic downturn since the Depression, and
Trying to balance budgets for
'cause-
both the county and
We're
for the
working on the
township.
budgets right now.
Yeah.
And,
It's,
Larry, congratulations on the job you do.
Well,
You
thank
do a
you.
great job.
Thank
And Jeff, always a pleasure to
thank
see
you.
you. And have we missed anything?
No, we'll have more information to come as it unfolds.
yeah,
Like I
they're
said,
gonna
it's very
keep us in the loop.
Going to keep us on the loop, and Edison is.
See, now you've made your television debut. You can come in and do your own show now.
No, I don't know if I want to do that. I'm a little camera
I think we all have a
Little
face
guy,
for
he did
radio.
a fine job. He did a fine job. All right, that's about it for this edition of the Roundtable. Till next time, I'm Paul Dingeman. Thanks for watching.